On today's episode, we're going to be talking about sound design and how it is easily one of the most overlooked portions of the film editing process and how it can really take your film that you're making to that next level. So why is sound design important and why is it something that we should be thinking about in terms of the editing process? Well, in many ways, we see with our ears. Like, think about those horror films that you've watched and you hear the riser coming up and you know something bad's gonna happen. That's sound design. If you strip away that riser or you strip away sound effects from other movies, it doesn't have the same emotional impact as it normally would compared to if it was just a music score underneath it. And there's nothing wrong with doing the music score approach. I've done that on numerous occasions. However, by adding in sound effects and things that are related to the scene that you're working on, there's a lot more depth that it will have on your viewers. And that's what we're trying to do as filmmakers. We're trying to make work that connects with our viewers. And sound is an unbelievable tool to help us achieve these things. I think a great way of showing this is my most recent film, Life in Quarantine. Over the last few weeks, I've gone out and I've broken quarantine. I've shot the city of Seattle because it has been absolutely empty. But to take it to that next place, I really wanted to incorporate sound effects and sound design to really create the atmosphere of these places. So here I am in Adobe Premiere. I really want to focus on this portion here. This is where I really kind of focused in on my sound design to really make it something that is engaging and impactful. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to focus in on the music. I'm then going to show the sound effects, and then I'm going to show the combination. So let's do that.
When nobody's around, when our city was still the secret, before those carpetbaggers came to town, the airports and train stations were full of desperate people, trying to convince the gate agents that not all emergencies are equal, and no one is going anywhere soon.
So as you can see from that scene there, it's okay. It works with the music, the pacing is fine, nothing really stands out. But at the same time, it also feels like it's missing something. It's missing that impact, and you're missing the atmosphere that you would normally experience in those places. And that's what I really tried to bring to this film. I really wanted to focus in on finding ways that I could bring in that atmosphere that we're so used to hearing, yet we don't pay much attention to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the same portion of the film. However, we're only going to do sound effects. So let's do that. As you can see, it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really atmospheric. But again, it feels like it's missing something. It feels like it needs music to help carry it. Well, that's what the goal was. I wanted to create something that had music and sound effects that would work together. So let's play the same scene. However, let's have the music playing and let's have the sound effects at the same time. And you will see that it works really well together.
When nobody's around, when our city was still the secret, before those carpetbaggers came to town, the airports and train stations were full of desperate people, trying to convince the gate agents that not all emergencies are no one is going anywhere soon.
The sound effects plus the music, along with the visuals, really create this more immersive feeling to the film. The music helps carry and convey the message of life in quarantine, but the sound effects help make it relevant in a place that we're all familiar with. We're familiar with those sounds subconsciously, and that's what the goal was to show that through this process, was to reveal more of that atmosphere in the film. So let's take a look at my Premiere project. So we're in Premiere, and you can see here, if I zoom really in, I have a ton of sound, but you can see I just have basic sound effects. And I just started layering them in. I mean, if we don't necessarily have to look at our video right now, but I'm gonna keep it there because it's an important visual aid in terms of showing how I brought this to life. If we go back to the beginning of where the sounds come in, so you can see that the layering of these sound effects really help lift the scene and really help convey that feeling of being at an airport. As we get a little deeper into the sequence and we look at the levels, you can see that I did a little bit of mixing just to try and bring it down a little bit. I think a big point of sound design is less is more. You really don't want your sound effects to be overpowering. You don't want them to be overbearing. It's really important to keep things at appropriate levels. If something's far from you, you want that volume a little lower. If it's closer, you want it louder. You can use volume for dramatic effect to help achieve what you're going for. Another important point to bring up is you may not need filters or effects on your different sound effects to help bring them to life. It may not be necessary to help take them to that next place. I think a safe bet is to play with different reverbs to help give more atmosphere to a specific sound clip. That's a really subtle thing that you can do to make clapping at, say, a stadium or a concert hall or a large room. You can play with the dynamics of the clip to help take it to that next place. Sound is an unbelievable tool, and we need to be more thoughtful about how we use it and different sound effects and filters to really create the impact that we're trying to make as filmmakers and as creators. So that's all I really got for this episode of the vlog. If you're enjoying the vlogs and content and films that I'm putting out there, please leave a comment below. I'd especially like to hear your thoughts on sound design and what you're doing. But as always, create, share, and sustain the life that you want. Get out there and make some awesome work. Thanks, guys.